Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast.
This is our day after the Super Bowl podcast. Things we weren't able to get to in show for you. So let's go straight to why Taylor Swift was booed at the Super Bowl before the game when she had been seated, and then they found her and they put her image. She looked beautiful up on the you call it jumbotron still. The crowd did this. This is the noise.
I would have to assume those are probably just Eagles fans booing because it's about wanting their team to win and not Kansas City.
Plain and simple, she was a Philadelphia Eagles fan until 2023.
Yeah.
She grew up in Pennsylvania. So, she was an Eagles fan until she started dating Travis Kelce. And so for Eagles fans, it rubs them wrong. It's a football fan thing, not necessarily an anti-her thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and it's the way it is. That's the way it goes in football.
She didn't wear any KC stuff this time.
I feel like she might have on the when she walked in or on the outerwear, but when she maybe she was hot because she took off the jacket. But yeah, normally she was draped in red. You're right, all season. Anyway, I just wanted to address it.
And the thing is, if you look at different, it's so crazy. This is why I guess you have to consider multiple sources before you believe any story.
Sure.
Because there are different media outlets that are reporting that differently, and there's social media, of course, talking about it, all sorts of different things as though it were some sort of, anti-Taylor Swift thing, which
thing.
Obviously it was.
You're never going to find a crowd more amped up than a Super Bowl crowd for their team.
Correct.
It is the ultimate.
It's the big game.
It's the ultimate, and maybe you didn't know that as just if you're kind of more of a passive football fan, maybe you didn't realize that she had kind of checked the box for the Eagles years ago.
Yeah.
And then here she is with it being that she probably was hoping it was going to be anybody but the Eagles.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on. Also, Patrick Mahomes, we didn't really touch. Look, there's so much. If you think he has appeared to be fierce on the field up until this point, having lost a Super Bowl the way he lost it and his team, they lost it last night, I think you can expect him to be more fierce. As the game was ending up, at the end of the game, I think in the fourth quarter is when Tom Brady started explaining that, hey, I won 7 Super Bowls, but I lost 3.
Yeah.
And it's the ones that you lose that hurt the most and the ones that you remember the most. And, of course, Patrick, I think he shared on social media, I let y'all down today, and I'm going to continue to work hard. This is him pretty poised after just talking about it.
They played great from start to finish. They got after it. Defensive line played really well. The DBs played well to complement them, and linebackers as well. And so, like I said, I can't turn the ball over early in the game when it's not going our way, and I'll have to learn from that and try to be better the next opportunity that I hopefully get.
I think that shows you what a pro he is too, and it's. I know it doesn't change the fact that that they lost, but he is a pro. He loves the game, and I think when you love the game, even if you're not the one who wins, you still respect what other players have done. Those players who are against you.
I will say though, with all the winning and all the games where they just were always able to find a way and come back. Realize they didn't blow everybody out this year. They won some 1-point games this year to be where they are. And so we all, I think, went into this Super Bowl thinking this is going to be a great game and this is going to be a tight game. I remember thinking it's going to be down to the last play.
I did too. I thought it was going to be a back and forth game the whole time.
And at halftime, I remember going, what is happening?
Yeah, I could not believe what I was seeing. The sacks, I could not believe what I was seeing.
And for us as fans to be going, what is happening? Today, they are still, some of those players might not even spoken yet. They're just in shock. It's devastating. It's devastating to lose it, no matter who you are.
And and they'll get their break, and then once they start training for the next season, that's going to be the new fuel for them to get back in the game.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a reset. So
he thought he was fierce before, is what I'm saying. He will. This is what happens to if he was riding too high for too long, as some people feel. This is what will bring it back down and refuel him. Right? We love a comeback story, and this would be a comeback story.
Yeah.
So anyway, I posted during the game, I couldn't help myself, that listening to Tom Brady call a game has become like comfort food to me. And for him to call his first Super Bowl, I felt like it was so right. And there's a lot of opinions about it. I love his broadcasting. I can't stand Tony Romo. That's Christy.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, thank God it's not Tony Romo. I'm like, I don't think that a lot of people like Romo's voice.
Oh.
I like what he has to say, though.
I thought Tom Brady did very well.
He did.
Mean, it was like nothing he said was like, okay. He gave the perfect input. He gave the perfect observations. It was great.
Julie said he's definitely improved since the beginning of the season. He did. And I prefer Troy myself. Oh. Marilyn, agree. He's great. This game is wild from Steven. Just glad it wasn't Chris Collingsworth. That's Then Becky said of Tom Brady calling the game, I wish he would just quit talking about himself. And you know, Becky, I caught that too, especially towards the end of the game. But he was trying to relay his experience of losing a Super Bowl and not expecting it. Like it coming out of nowhere that you cannot possibly lose this because you're ready.
Yeah.
You're ready. And what happened last night was that Philadelphia their defense was more ready for Patrick Mahomes than Patrick's probably ever seen in his career. If you go back and watch it, it was those 4 players up front, those defensive players who would not let him breathe. And then the rest of the defense had it covered.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, if you were to go back and watch highlights today, you would see that the real Super Bowl, champs there is the defense.
Well, and that makes sense. It makes total sense. The strategy going in,
you have to stop him.
You know that's what you've got to do. You've got to stop him from making those passes.
So crazy. So crazy. So anyway, I just wanted to comment about Tom Brady because I thought, man, he's just so right there.
Yeah,
it's so right. Him. It feels like because you know his voice just because if you've ever watched football in the last 20 years, you know his voice just from his after the game sort of sound clips. Mm-hmm. But now he's holding your hand throughout the broadcast.
Mm-hmm. Well, anytime you've ever run into somebody that says that they couldn't be in front of a camera for a living or a microphone or whatever because it's too nerve-wracking, once you get past that part, if you can be yourself, you're going to be okay.
Perfect.
And, I mean, this is, he's the GOAT. Mm-hmm. I mean, he knows what he's talking about. He has seen all aspects of it, and so as long as he can cut through any nervousness, which is obviously what he had at the beginning of the season, trying to figure out, am I doing this right? And then just be the guy that he would be communicating to his teammates or coach or whomever.
I'm gonna tell you what else I think.
I thought he was very real sounding. I enjoyed that.
He was more comfortable. I will tell you that I thought this is the woman in me or the mom in me. I don't know, but I thought, man, he's exhausted too. He's definitely done plenty of seasons and then exhausted up until a Super Bowl. But a media schedule when you're covering something like that. Remember, he was up at 2 a.m. or all night, a couple of nights leading up to the Super Bowl to film that thing on Bourbon Street, along with everybody else. So was Michael Strahan. So was Bradshaw. So was everybody.
He did that sit down with Mahomes.
He did. So he looked tired to me, but the game fueled him back, and he can, the adrenaline gets you there. I bet you he's asleep now and will sleep for a week because that's also a different sort of being on.
Right.
It's not, you don't get time out in the booth. You get time out on the field, but you don't get time out when you're calling it.
And for the Super Bowl, you're on for many more hours. I mean, when the pregame starts at 11, you got to be ready for that too when they cut away to you.
It's all day.
So you're going from 11 a.m. all the way.
And I guess you can't think about the fact that there are billions of people who are watching all around the world.
No, you cannot. That's one of those things that you learn by doing it over time.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened before the game, I was watching the pregame alone. Taylor and Phoebe weren't at the house yet. Murphy was like in his office working on something. And so it was the Jimmy Johnson tribute, Hall of Fame thing that it used. If you didn't see it, here's a little bit of it. He's visiting with his former self.
Football has been a part of who I am for about as long as I can remember. It's one of my life's great passions, and I've been involved with the sport at some of the highest levels since I was a very young man.
It was an AI video tribute. So when they say since I was a very young man, it's a 1964 version of him looking at himself now.
Yeah.
And telling his life story in a different way. It's a different way to storytell when you want to tribute somebody. Mm-hmm. Usually you would take old film and have somebody else voice it. He voiced his own thing. And then when he would open his mouth as the 1964 Jimmy, it was a younger sounding voice.
Yeah.
It was an AI video tribute, I guess done because you can.
Yeah.
The word is it was uncomfortable for a lot of people to watch.
I thought it was weird.
I didn't find it uncomfortable. I found it different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just found it different. Also, it didn't creep me out. It was actually very touching because by the time you get to the end, that's why he was so emotionally moved. By the time it cut back to him live, think about him reliving through his own footsteps, and then seeing that for the first time. What they did. That also probably is a lot of trust you have to put in the people producing something like that.
Yeah.
When they're saying, this is what we're going to do. We just need you to walk in front of this green screen. And
I didn't catch the fact that they said that one of the reasons it ooked people out, maybe you can, tell if this is true or not, Sam, but apparently they pointed out a lot of flaws, that the words didn't match up with the mouth at certain points.
It was a little off, but
I didn't catch that.
I've seen that before. And
I was at Sammy, my oldest son's house, him and Melissa in Hollis. We were watching pregame.
Yeah.
And Melissa says, "What's wrong with his hair?"
Oh.
And I was like, that's the only thing they got right. It's like, watch when they cut back to him. And sure enough, it's like, oh my God, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just feel like with AI technology capabilities, I should say, we're going to see more of this, except that check the box that this ooked people out. And so maybe go back to our usual way of storytelling, which is more like the kind of storytelling you get.
Well, look, the Super Bowl to me is about innovative everything.
Yeah, it is.
Innovative ideas for commercials, the way that it's presented. Every single year, to me, everything packaged around the Super Bowl seems to go up a notch. Mm-hmm. It's just like production value and the things that they offer. You're throwing all your best tools at it.
Yeah, there's always some misses too. I mean,
I also want to ask you about that too. The on screen, the new look on screen, where the score was and how they had the first down on the field. I was looking at social during the game, and a lot of folks were like, "This is new. We don't like this. Go back to the old way."
I didn't want new for the Super Bowl.
I thought it was nice and clean and
that's
pretty.
The thing is, it was very simple. It was easy to. You knew what the score was, that's for sure.
The whole
you knew what the score, and right
big.
there, planted on the field is first and 10 or whatever. It's like, this is easy.
I didn't have a problem with it, but I don't need new.
It's just change.
Yeah.
Change is a difficult thing to get, used to.
I will say, going back to the Jimmy Johnson AI video, it felt like that he was about to say he's done. He's going to retire, but he didn't say a word about that. That was not spoken. They just tributed him. So I don't know if his retirement is going to be announced soon or something, but it seemed like a goodbye.
Yeah.
But it did not end with a goodbye. It was just, there it is. And back to the games coming up. Here comes Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Do you think Travis is going to call it quits?
Not after losing.
I don't think so either.
If they had won, it might be a different conversation because he has played. Travis Kelce has played 12 seasons in the NFL, which is a long time in the NFL.
I didn't realize he's been there that long.
Right.
You could almost call that the Tom Brady factor. Because remember, that's exactly what he did.
Got to go out on top. Want to go out on top. Right. Yes.
Yeah. Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.